When I last went on holiday, I went to Monaco, a scenic place with a very nice stadium and a very nice team, which has just qualified for the Champions League, had legends play for them, such as Kylian Mbappe, Bernardo Silva, and recently, the new manager Cesc Fabregas. However, playing in France means they're always sat behind Paris Saint-Germain, who have just won the Champions League, probably making them a little bit jealous. So today I'm going to take over Monaco, and I'm going to take their new signing on, in Paul Pogba, who they've just signed after his ban of doping has finished, and I'm going to rebuild him and also the team to make them the best in France, and eventually go better than Paris and win what they've just won in the Champions League. As yes people, hat acquired, this is actually from the club shop of Monaco, as here is the team. We've also got another new signing. Eric Dyer's just joined, which I don't get because he's a bit of a veteran past his prime. However, you could say the same for this man. We've got him back out of his ban that he actually got at Juve, Paul Pogba. It's the first time he's played football in a while, and in real life, it's rumoured at this time that he will be joining Monaco. It hasn't happened at the time of recording this, but I've made it a reality. He's 32-year-old still. However, in this save, I've used a couple of mods to make sure he doesn't retire, and I'm giving him his potential that he did have at his prime, which is 95. Can Paul Pogba reach the heights again? Well, he's going to have to get a move on, and it's not all about Paul Pogba, to be fair. We've got Singo, a decent youth player, Vanderson, then both for 24. Denis Zakaria is the captain, one rating lower and a little bit younger. Also 6'3", and then we've got Magnus Akilush, 23-year-old. Look how young this team is, man. We've got some young strikers here, including George Ikena. He's changed to Nigeria. I thought he was a Frenchman. And speaking of France, this is my first French rebuild in a while, and our aim is to just get to the top and win Ligue 1. Obviously not the aim of the rebuild. The aim of the rebuild is to win the Champions League, which we are in Season 1, and we need to reach the quarter-final. And by the way, how crazy is this? The board want us to win the league title and also win the French Cup. Do they know Paris Saint-Germain exists? They've just won the Champions League 5-0 over Inter, and have players like odds-on favourite for the Ballon d'Or, Ousmane Dembele, Desire Doué, at least he's only 85 rated, and then right backs like Hakimi, whereas we have an aging Pogba and only 35 million to spend. As first things first, like usual, I do want to change this formation up. Pogba I do see being a centre mid, and I've just got an obsession with the 4-2-4. We're going to go high defensive approach, we're going to go counter-attacking style. I do think we've got decent players, and apart from Paris, I don't see anyone really stopping us. Even look at our bench players. We've got Mawissa, who's only 20, then Ikena, and in the starting lineup, this four in front of Ben Shagir, Akilush, and the double B of Balogun and Biereth should be unstoppable, with Briel and Boadu just behind them. Boadu's only 24-year-old. I classed him as a failed wonder kid, as we've got plenty of players down in the reserves, telling me the first thing we've got to do is not actually buy players, but loan them out. And this may take a while, because I've got plenty of players I want to get game time to, including even ones I didn't speak on. Juan Tincrez, Paris Brunner, a very decent player, I believe from the Dortmund Academy. I could be wrong on that one. And then himself, Georgie Kenner. Then we've got plenty more centre-back galore going out the club, including Christian Mawissa, one of our only left-footers at the club, which leaves us kind of short on centre-backs. However, Denis Zakaria is going to do his captain duties. He's going to play in centre-back for us. Let's be frank here, Eric Dyer was never going to play at the club for me, so he goes into centre-back. Kamara goes into centre-mid. As goalkeeper, I want first Majeki, 25-year-old and looks decent. And same with Colm, but two players that I don't really think will be here long term. And with the money not going up too much, I looked at this guy Lucas Mantella, not really affordable, so we're going to go young again with Elia Caprile, 23, 6'3" at Napoli. Fits in with the youth approach, 37 million we have to spend. So I'm going to get rid of one of the keepers, maybe just send them out on loan, bring Caprile into play, and hopefully just get us in the UCL again. And there he is. Okay, he's played. He's gone up by one singular rating, as at least our defense is a lot better. Same with Paul Pogba. Then we've got Balogun, Akilush, Ben Seguir. But one man missing is Mika Biereth. The ex-Arsenal man made a move to Monaco from Sturm Graz not long ago. And he's already gone and left us to Atalanta. 83 overall. I mean, Monaco are a bit of a selling club, but that is taking the mick. 45.1 million is decent, and I'm guessing that was a release clause. As do we have a replacement ready? Because John Tinkred's not up much. Ikenna up 1. And then Brunau +3. He's having a decent improvement. Same with Kasum Ouattara and Christian Mawissa. I was going to say centre-back we need to sign next season, but he's played at Leicester City and actually kept them in the Premier League because Live Points actually kept them in there themselves. Even though they did get relegated in real life, it just doesn't work in FC. Live Points when you're not in the league are a little bit dodgy. As Akilush, the first position to swap, 81 as a winger. Diatta's also swapped to a right winger as his backup. Then we've got the main man himself. We need to get him game time. Ben Seguir. Paul Pogba getting a bit older. He got 11 assists, the most at the club. Mbolo got quite a few goals. Balogun, at least we've kept him. However, you can see the heartbreak of Biereth leaving in AS Monaco's season because we finish outside of the top 5. I don't even think that's Conference League. I'll probably be sacked in real life. Terrible finish from us. We can't be outside of the Champions League. We were expected a quarter-final as Paris FC win the Coupe de France. We were beaten by Brest 2-1 in the round of 32. And with no PSG in it, we should have done a lot better as 14th in the Champions League phase. Caesar's beaten in a playoff round. The first time I think I've ever been beaten in one. Or maybe not, but it is Milan, a very difficult game to get. We've definitely got to improve this team further. We've tried the youth in goal. We're gonna need a lot of help here. And you guys can help the channel as well. If you do subscribe, we're on the race to 60k before FC26. And if you could also drop a like, as here we are, Season 2 with AS Monaco. We've got our left back and also 2 decent centre-backs in Magassa and Mawissa. And then we've got Majeki, who we loaned out to Stoke City. Don't know how he actually ended up there. And to be fair, he could go into our goal, as I've been trusting youth. But our goal ultimately for this season is to reach the Champions League again. And I think that means Golovin back in the starting 11 and also Minamino. Just for the time being, then Ben Seguir will come into the squad, as I thought this man would be in the squad, but I think it's another loan deal for Georgie boy, as finishing outside of the top 6 probably tells me we need to replace Biereth properly, and 70 million euros should definitely be enough to do that sufficiently. And do we think about replacing Pogba, because he's 33-year-old now, and I actually did prop up his potential, but he's not hitting it because of the age getting older. If we could just get one more prime season out of him, maybe get a Champions League run next year, or maybe even better, we could win the Conference League with him in the squad. Only expected to reach the final and then only expected to win the Champions League. The board kind of backpedaling after last season's hefty aims. And as much as this season I want a squad together and do want to get back into the Champions League and win the Conference League, I do want to keep on loaning all our youngsters out. I need potentials being hit, and George does have a loan to Valencia, so I speak on getting a striker, but he's got an incredible loan deal. Same as Ouattara, who's going to be playing with one of the best strikers of all, Ronaldo of Al Nassr. As now, can we get an ex-Pogba teammate? As a player that played for Monaco before and played a long time with Paul Pogba, in Anthony Martial, but he's kind of rotten at AEK Athens. Yes, he did play for Monaco before. That's where he came up the ranks, but I'm not going to sign him, as I want someone probably in their prime, maybe 25, 26. Someone who's going to score as goals, and then George Ilkena can replace him in the future. And I'm going to choose this man, Vangelis Pavlidis of Benfica. An 86 rated striker, 88 shooting, but the reason I actually went and signed him is physicality we need up front. With a lot of youngsters and smaller players, we needed a little bit more than the 73 that Balogun offers, and unfortunately, something I don't like to see, Paul Pogba is now 34, he's losing physicality, he's down to an 81 rated, and that's a shame because, ignore the voice break, I want to see him lift lifting the Champions League trophy for us, as at least he's still on the first page of ratings. Zakaria second, making it hard for our young centre-backs to get in the team when they're old enough, because Mawissa's now 22, 80 rated, bloody perfect. He's going to be good in the future, and same with Magassa, also Ouattara 79, he's literally just pushing on the door. And then Ikenna's only a 76. Now, I really don't want to lose his potential. He's a player going into this rebuild I thought would be our best player. However, maybe the man we've just signed is. He's 28. Pavlidis, 30 goals. Akilush with 23, securing themselves places in the team of the season. We've got 5 players, more than PSG's 4, as Kvicha gets the player of the tournament. However, PSG don't get the trophy of it. We've gone ahead and bloody won it. 5 points over Monaco, back into the Champions League places, and landing a Ligue title in our second season. Paul Pogba lifted it, and I love that. A honeymoon story for him, as I'm getting voice breaks talking about it. With Stade Rennais winning the Coupe de France, I would have loved a domestic double. However, we were out to Lens on penalties 4-3, leaving 1 trophy to check. There's Betis and Inter in this. The Conference League, that is, as we blast past Piast. Apologies if I've said that wrong. And then we beat Real Betis. Spurs are in this trophy, but they were hammered as we beat Istanbul Başakşehir. Oh my days, lending our second trophy, but this could actually be a bad thing, because sometimes you win the Conference League and it actually puts us in the Europa. However, it is another European trophy for Monaco going into Season 3 with a squad that I honestly feel is coming of age, because we've got youngsters coming through. And with the youngsters coming through, time to say goodbye to one of the old players, Eric Dyer. I'm sorry, but now I'm actually the Monaco manager. I have no plans to squeeze him in here, as we do have 2 players waiting to squeeze in. Ben Seguir does. Then we've got Pogba and Golovin, keeping Kamara waiting on the bench. Only 23-year-old at 80 rated. One of my favourite players to sign in career mode. Then the youngsters. A new 80 rated centre-back, 76, 78 and 79 left-back who can replace João Enrique once it's time to, but to be fair, his rating is actually shooting up, as some of our best players are still the older ones. Golovin, Zakaria, who renews his contract at the club. I've had to renew a lot of them, and he's now the highest paid player, and Pogba is on that list still, as Minamino's announced retirement, but we've lost a lot of money from that now, 58 million. To be fair, we don't need many positions. We have a lot of good youth players. Balogun I still trust to grow. I've just put Capril into the starting 11, and strikers on the bench will grow, as Minamino is the one retiring though, 32, and a left winger, Ben Seguir. I really want to play, but if we have an option to get better, or sorry, a budget to get better, we've definitely got to go and do that, as the expectations from the board is to reach a Champions League semi-final. And if only there was a youngster at Stade Rennais that Monaco could have bought, like this man, but he made the move to Paris. Desir Doué, another player with a shout of winning the Ballon d'Or. It's unpredictable how youth players just can come through and capture the imagination of many through flair, fancy footwork, and this man's just increased in his rating. Wilson Odobert, a Frenchman we could bring back to his home country, as Spurs were with us last season in the Conference League, meaning he should be available. However, it's predicted on the high side of 53.5 million, and I do not want to miss out on this signing, so I'm going to sell Thilo Kehrer for almost 15 million to Marseille, bring in that really good player, Odobert and Ben Seguir. What a rotation that can be, and also, can it get us into that semi-final as expected? Oh yes. Oh yes, and now it is all coming together. Now, I would like the keeper to be a bit better, Caprile. He just hasn't worked out at all. But the rest of the team, look at Pavlidis. I brought him in as our veteran. He's now got 90 physicality and 90 shooting, 83 pace. I didn't know the Greek was that fast. We've also got Mawissa out on loan at Everton. The left-footed centre-back now 84. Still a little bit behind Denis Zakaria. Struggling for breath actually saying that. We've got João Enrique now the same rating as Ouattara, but also Our man George. This time was on loan at Nottingham Forest. And now he's hitting his potential. We got Bruno up to a 75. Mawissa was the other lone boy. As goal-wise, not many for Odebear. He's actually in competition with Ben Seguir. And they both look alike. We've got Balogun up there in third. Pavlidis in first with 32 goals. And Paris must have just fallen off because we just keep on taking W's. Back-to-back Ligue 1 titles. Paris are dusted. Monaco back on top. However, last time they were on top, they had to watch themselves because they got ravaged. Mbappe, Bernardo Silva, they all just went and bloody abandoned the club. So yes, we're going to count that trophy, but for next season, I'm adding a challenge. The first 3 bids for starting 11 players must be accepted and we must get rid of them, making the challenge harder. And yes, we've still got to win the Champions League as the Trophy Championnes. We win that 2-1 over Rennes. And the Coupe de France finale, we're actually not in between Strasbourg and Marseille. We were out to Marseille in the quarterfinals. Fair enough, they've gone ahead and done it, beating us as Paris still got the upper hand in Europe. At least we made it straight through to the round of 16. Oh my days, and squeezed it on penalties against Capril's ex-club. But then Leverkusen 4 goals to 2. That's heartbreaking. And Paris have kept on cooking and they've made the finale. So despite how dominant we've been in France, our team's still not dominant in Europe. And next year with an aging Paul Pogba, we're going to lose 3 of these players. First 3 bids getting accepted and only 86 million in the bank. It's not the way you want to start season number 4. Or is it 5? I've got the memory of a goldfish, and as long as the first bid isn't for Pavlidis, or the second one, or the third one, I'll be happy, because I want to keep our striker. And I'm also going to say it again, I do want to keep Paul Pogba, as he's retiring at the end of the year. That is it, he stayed at Monaco. The team that will be taking a chance on him, according to heavy reports. As hey, maybe he's signed by now, but here in FC, that's where he finishes his career. And here flying the first bids. Right, we've already got one accepted. 11.5 million is a deal for Magassara, or Magassa, I don't know why I said that wrong, and then Wilfred Singo, it's another centre-back leaving, but 120.4 million will be accepted. Then Ben Seguir, 66.2. I think for this man from Chelsea is a deal, because we've got almost 80 million for him. As he's not the first one out of the club, though, it's Singo, because these have got to go through. We're not just accepting bids, they have to leave, as there's Ben Seguir, and there's Magassa, Leipzig. I can't believe they've got a deal for him. Leaving us 270 million, though, so it is decent money, despite accepting the bids. And I think the main thing we do, I just said do, is replace what we've lost. So centre-back, Mawissa, yes, technically he could go into the left, but he will need replacing, although that is the second priority, or third, because we need a centre mid, and then I still do want a goalkeeper. And then on the bench, we need a left-hand-sided winger, because we've just lost one. And how stupid of me forgetting one of the major rumours going on in football. It is not only Paul Pogba rumoured with a move to Monaco, it is Ansu Fati, the youngster, or once youngster of Barcelona, kicked to the curb because of the hype of Yamal. This man was supposed to be what he was, and he's still costing a lot of money, but hopefully we can revive his career here. That's the first piece of the puzzle, and I can't believe this man's at Brentford. We've got Bento, 85 rated, 6'3", Brazilian goalkeeper. I have just got to bring him in, despite the other Brazilian in the team getting replaced. That's right, Caio Henrique's on the bench. We've got Ouattara in the main team, and Ilkena, forgot about him, 21-year-old, now a bench player, with just that centre-back needed. Oh my days, and I forgot about Paul Pogba. Now, he will go onto the bench. I really want him making an impact in his final season, and also a shout out to Golovin, the 32-year-old midfielder, been at Monaco a very long time, sticking with us through thick and thin, and we do want actually 2 players. I want to get some veterans in. The first one in Bremer, because Mawissa's a young centre-back, he can of course grow, so I'm going to trust Zakaria and Bremer at the back for 1 season. Then with the 51 million remaining, I do want Paul Pogba to play a part in any more success we have, but I'm bringing back an AS Monaco player. I think you know who that man was, and we are going to check the team last. I'm just going to change it up for once. As you can see, less defeats than Paris. However, we hang on to a second place. We've been dethroned in France, which isn't the worst thing after all, because we were trying to do the dethroning. I'd rather put my efforts in elsewhere, as we do win the trophy des Champions. However, the Coupe de France makes it a domestic double for Paris. We were beaten in the semi-finals though. Nantes actually beating us 1-0, which is not the result I expected, and I expected a little bit better in the Champs League. We should have a really good squad, but only 7th. I mean, we avoid the playoffs by the skin of our teeth, and then Roma, a very favourable draw. Before Frankfurt, another one. We haven't took on one of the major teams. And then in the semi-finals, oh my days, now that is a major game to play. The team that's done the domestic double, we beat by a goal to 0 when we were at home in that first leg. Paris are tumbling, meaning we're going to go into the final against Dortmund, who on this channel, in recent times, we've had almost 100% record against, which could be a really good thing for us, as this is a team that's actually played, and Bento's gone down. You don't usually see goalkeepers under 30 decrease. However, he has. We've got Bremer, who's actually stayed the same and is a lot older, Akilush on that wing, and our best and most surprising player, Pavlidis, now 30-year-old, 91 overall. Let me know if you do want another Greek rebuild in the comments below, as the other players. Now on the bench, Ansu Fati, slight revival. I mean, he's 84 rated. And this was the man we signed. Yes, he has gone down -4. We kind of got ripped off for him. Bernardo Silva, now 34. Let's be honest, when I said the return of a Monaco player, did you expect Mbappe? Maybe a few of you did, but we don't need him. Pavlidis with 33 goals. The other lads getting a few as we're going to go into this final, but the main player I want appearing at one point in the game is Paul Pogba. Really want to see him enter the field of play, as this is a tight finale. I know we've built a really good team, but Dortmund I think we're on par with. Always runners up to BVB, we're always runners up to Paris, but now we need to try and surprise. There's Golovin with a pass through the middle. Terribly done. And Tyreek George, they do like their English players now. And we've got a bit of an aging back line with Bremer in the middle of it. And then Golovin just in front of him. Zakaria getting no younger. But then we've got our young guns that we trusted in Wilson Odobert. Look at this dribble. Was kind of hoping for more, but that hope was just short-lived, as Wilson Odobert, if we can just get him dribbling every single time in this game, I think we're going to do well, as it's chance for the shooting opportunity. Jan Oblak with a terrific save. Akilush to play it to Kamara. Akilush to drill it in the box, and that's Pavlidis, the strong striker. Rises highest from a short corner. That is why I keep doing those things. Brilliant from our main man up front, replacing Mika Biereth. And getting us off to a brilliant start as Golovin. Now we'll look out wide, because another player I haven't mentioned, we've got Caio Henrique back in at left back. Sending Dortmund players for hot dogs, and a brilliant ball into Pavlidis. I know his shooting's really good, but he's caught offside. You cannot be offside. One of my pet peeves is now Bayer. Oh my days, that's come from the offside. Brilliant goal from BVB. And just like that, they're back in the game somehow. Fair enough trading goals, however, this could actually get more embarrassing. It is Mora, the youngster, into Harvey Elliott, going with a Trivella, and all of a sudden, the game is switching as Golovin needs to try and switch it on the ground, out to the wing. Wilson Odobert, this time he's not offside, it's Pavlidis, just strike it, it's another save by Oblak. It was Odobert with the header, but that's a good ball into Pavlidis. The strong man could pass it. Tries himself and a little bit greedy. Come on, Dortmund had a bit of a spell, but we've got Pavlidis up front for us, so we should be a bit better. The Greek man, he spins inside, and it genuinely feels like there's no beating Jan Oblak. And I'm just going to try something out there. Screw it, this rebuild's about him. Paul Pogba with his 55 shooting. Let's see what kind of impact he makes. At least it brings a bit of experience, which is what we need at this moment in time. And I'm actually going to try something different. I'm going to go short into Florian Balogun. There's the number 6. Paul Pogba on the turn. Oh my days, and he almost scored it. As it honestly seems like Paul Pogba's the most mobile. Look at that. He gives it into Pavlidis. He needs a bit of an option in front of him. He's got tackled again. I think Ilkena's coming back on in a minute as Golovin get that ball out wide. He does. Akilush now through onto Florian Balogun, who's been quiet. That's a brilliant ball into Pavlidis. He's around his man and he's got the power shot into the back of the net. And the Greekman stands strong like a god. Mia's his manager throwing shade, but he just goes through them like they're shadows on the field. It is a brilliant finish because now we are back defending, and Maximilian Bayer, it is a smart turn, but a smarter save by Bento, our goalkeeper. However, it is wave after wave. We might get the ball away here. Paul Pogba with his final kick in professional football. Wins the Champions League with Monaco. I could have actually put Bernardo Silva on, Ilkena, Ansu Fati, but we didn't even need them to win it. Champions League trophy delivered, 2 League titles with it, and we are now successfully, despite losing a domestic double, the best team in France, and I meant to say double right there as Denis Zakaria has deserved that. He got a team of the season card as well this year for his efforts at Monaco. As if you want me to do my efforts elsewhere, in career mode, comment the team, or if you want a video now, click my hands for what YouTube recommend you.